Hi, I'm DelusionDispeller. Back to talk to you more, not so much about psychopathology, but about disorders of the psyche, of the mind, of the brain, I guess you could say. First of all, talk about, in general, different types of disorders and how they happen. I'm not going to label every single disorder because I've already done that on videos, but just give you some general information. Like, for instance, most psychiatric or psychological disorders are set by early adolescence or adulthood. If somebody has what's called a psychotic break or a breakdown, that's typically between 16 years old and 24 years old. The biggest major worldwide illness has been for a long time and probably still is depression. I mean, look at all the drugs and the chemicals and stuff that people are taking for depression. It's a very common illness. I believe it has to do with how our food is raised, like the animals and stuff that we eat for meat, if we eat meat, and even our crops and what's put on the crops. So that leads to psychiatric and psychological problems. Stress. Stress comes from the outside of a person. It can be negative stress, and there can be positive stress, believe it or not. If you get overly excited, it can stress out your system. There can be perceived stressors, things that people consider stressful that may not really be stress factors, but to them they perceive them that way. It's all about the personal judgment a person makes about what is stressful to them. How do you look at the expectations you have of yourself and other people in life? That can cause stress. Anxiety, on the other hand, is not from the outside. It comes from an overwhelming sense of uneasiness within yourself. So it comes from inside of you. Now, one of the things they taught us in college was, if you become a counselor, know what your vulnerabilities are. And if you meet somebody whom you think you're going to have a problem with and treat in a maladaptive way, to refer them on to somebody else. Some of you have experienced this with your counselors, or possibly even me, where I have said, or your counselor has said, this is not working out. I really think you'd be better off with this type of counselor, or finding somebody else. So if that's happened to you, do not blame your counselor, do not blame me. Realize that we're doing it because we know we would not be in your best interest to help you. So we refer you to somebody that we believe will be better suited for you. It's not that we don't like you as a person. It's not that we hate you. It's not that we're trying to be mean. It's that we know our own vulnerabilities. We know what we can and can't handle. And we have to be honest and true to ourselves as well as to you to pass you on to somebody that is a better fit for you. Let's talk a little bit about resilience. If you ever notice, some people will be from a family, we'll say 2 children. Both of them were abused in similar ways. One grows up to be a very productive citizen, maybe has a great career, a great family, and well-adjusted. The other one grows up or doesn't grow up in a way that is dysfunctional and can't adapt to the world and can't have successful interpersonal relationships. Why is this? It's called resiliency. Every human being has a different level of this. And what it means is kind of a self-efficacy is what it's called. And it's the percentage that you feel in control of your own life, knowing that you can't have control of everything, but the things that you do have control over, you feel confident about that. So even if something's going crazy around you, you believe inside of yourself that you can take some measure of control over that thing. Not everybody has a strong level of this. This is why 2 people can go through the same abuse and one bounces back and the other one is dysfunctional after the abuse. If you want to know how to have resiliency, you probably should talk to somebody that has it and learn the mindset, because it's all about what you tell yourself sometimes. It's not that that's the only reason you would have resiliency. Some people just naturally have it. They're born with this fighting attitude. You've heard of babies that are dying and they fight to live and they make it, and they're fighters the whole rest of their life. They were high in resiliency. Not everybody has that. One of the dysfunctions in a person can be procrastinating behavior, putting things off. not wanting to do things right away, figuring, it can wait. I'm not saying all of us don't do this, because we do at times. But some people are overwhelming procrastinators to the point that they become downright hostile if you require them to get on a schedule or to do things in a certain manner of time. Procrastinating gives people a false sense of control. So people that feel very out of control will use procrastination to say, I can do this when I want to do it. It's kind of a rebellious thing, actually. It usually is accompanied by some form of denial. They don't want to face something, they don't want to deal with something, and they often will have an attitude of, you can't make me do this. I'm going to do what I want to do, and you can't make me do what you want me to do when you want me to do it. It causes problems in relationships, it causes problems in marriage, definitely causes problems between parents and children. All right, I'm going to talk about 3 more things, and I'm going to end the video there. Repression, reversal, and projection. I'm doing this because some of you are interested in psychology, but the psychological terms are lost on you. They're just too technical. They're too above your head. And even for me, some psychology terms were way over my head till I did a lot of research and learned how to break them down into bite-sized pieces, so to speak. So let's talk about repression. What repression is when somebody pushes something into the back of their conscious, into their unconsciousness. I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Well, somebody that was raped, for instance, they will put it to the back of their conscience. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to think about it. Some people even may seem to forget that it ever happened because they repress it so far back. Now, unfortunately, when something's repressed, eventually it tends to resurface and comes out in dysfunctional ways. So it could cause problems for the person. So that's repression, pushing something to the back of the consciousness or the unconscious. Reversal. In somebody's unconscious, you make it part of somebody else. It's called splitting. So it's kind of like somebody has a bad habit that came from, I don't know, a traumatic experience. We'll say they're chronically late for an appointment. And they will see that as somebody else being chronically late, but not themselves. So they'll put down that person and, what's wrong with you? You're always late. And they're actually the one, or maybe they're also the one that's chronically late. It's called splitting. They can't handle the fact that they have this issue. So it's also kind of similar to projection, but they put it on or see it on somebody else. And if anybody has a better way to describe splitting, please post it below. I'm always open to better definitions. I'm not perfect in all of this. I'm just sharing my notes. So projection is the next one and the last one we'll talk about. Projection is an accusation of the other person having a character flaw that you actually have, but you don't want to see it, admit it, or deal with it. Similar, like I said, to reversal. So somebody, in my case, okay, I was with a mentor at one point, and this mentor would tell people to contact her for help, and then she would counsel them for a little while and then throw them away because it just got to be too stressful for her. She didn't know how to delegate and, refer them elsewhere, and she didn't have the heart to turn them away. So instead, she'd just become very resentful and usually pour it out on me and say how these people are just bugging me. They're complainers, whiners, drainers. I don't want to deal with it. But then in the end, she accused me of never having time to sit with people and counsel them. So you see, that wasn't me, that was her. She put it on me. That's called projection. Well, stay tuned for the next video. We're going to talk about reaction formation and some other things that are psychology-based that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching. As always, eyes wide open, moving forward. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching. I value every one of you. Send comments and questions at DelusionDispeller@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to respond and also comment below. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.